heard by Bobby Cleveland, Executive Director of Oakland Corrections Professionals, along with Representative J.J. Humphrey. Talk a little business today. JJ, what do you think about how people say that they've been threatened, not necessarily by HARP, but that probably came from HARP, if they joined OCP?
Well, Bob, I will tell you this. I had several people right around here tell me that if they were caught talking to me, that they would be fired. And so, again, as a representative, he can't tell them that. I think they would probably deny that, but the only problem is they put it out in writing that anybody caught talking to a legislator had to write a report and tell them. By the way, Director, that's illegal. I think you might check me out. I don't want to pretend like I know all the law, but I do believe that's illegal. So anyways, Bob, it's not a far stretch for me to think that they're intimidating, threatening people. I mean, they threatened me. They told me that if I didn't cut OCP loose, cut you loose, that I would be cut out. And, basically I told them to stick it. And so, the deal is, I mean, if you come up and threaten a state representative, I guess you'll threaten just about anybody. So not hard for me to know that they are threatening people and that people are intimidated. And Bob, that's why I'm pretty excited over the stuff that we're doing here in OCP. We're meeting, we're trying to come up with new ways to let people join and not have to worry about, retaliation or hostile treatment or hostile work environment. It's a shame, you have to do that. And there's supposed to be grievances against that kind of environment. But here's the deal. They've done away with the grievance. They've done away with everything. Bob, I want to tell you listeners, hey, I got knocked out of chairmanship. So I want to tell you guys, if you think us fighting is that there's no risk to us, that it doesn't cause us problems, I hope you know that's not true. I put my job on the line. I put my reputation on the line every day for the Department of Corrections employees and DHS people and other state. But I put it out there. And again, it's cost me a chairmanship. And I want to tell you something. I'm very happy to give that chairmanship up to defend you. Very happy to do that. And here's what's funny. If you think, and Director, if you're listening, if you think that I didn't already know that was going to happen, you're wrong. And if you don't think I've already made plans and you think this is the end of the fight's just getting started. You just warmed it up. And it's fixing to notch up a whole bunch. I can promise you that. And that's what I want to tell the listeners of OCP. You have to stand up for yourself. You can't let this thug run over you. You can't let this bully control you. And we're going to try to offer you. So, Bob, I'm pretty excited that the opportunities that we're going to offer people to get on here. But I do want to say this, Bob. If people don't join this association, and you don't want this association. And Bob, I don't know about you, but everywhere I go where I meet Department of Corrections people, they come up to me and, hey, you two are the only two fighting. You two got to keep it up. Y'all two got to do this. I'm happy to do it. I know you are too, Bob. I know me and you have the same mindset, same heart. But if we don't get help from you, we can't continue to pay the lawyers if we can't keep the bills are paid. I mean, we got to have people. We got to pay lawyers. We got to pay people to run this thing, take calls, make copies, do all the stuff, do all the work that we're doing. We don't find out all this information just sitting around. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a shame that he basically, quite frankly, he's not following the U.S. Constitution, which gives us every right to join OCP without any risk of anything.
Bob, he don't care about nothing but him. He don't care nothing but him. He is totally 100% about him. It sickens me to see the way he acts. How he ruined OMES. He was a shame. He was a sham. They had to run him out in the middle of the night in the back door, and they run him over to the Department of Corrections because I hadn't badmouthed the governor, but the governor has shown what he thinks about the Department of Corrections by putting a failure like Harp over there. He knew.
Well, what do you think about this? He's never quit buying uniforms for the officers. They got to buy their own uniforms, their own patches, cutting out overtime, cutting the crap out of them in salary.
Now on that.
Hang on a minute. Well, I got this in my head there, JJ. But all of this, and he goes and gets a $2,000 uniform.
No, hey, he spent $1 million something on all those uniforms, Bob. I mean, when you look at all the ones he bought, I think they go back and check me out. I won't swear, but I was thinking they spent $1 million on all their uniforms for their upper. You know what I'm saying?
That might be. I was only referring to his uniform. He has, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it's $2,500, and he gets all the patches on here, all the little things that shows you're done something on there. But yet he wants to have the officers buy their own patches. I mean, that is so silly.
Well, Bob, and you were mentioning a while ago about overtime. He's cut overtime. I got a real head scratcher because he cuts overtime. But man, I'm getting report after report about people having to work massive amounts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So which one is it? Is he cutting? And guys, this is why we need y'all. This is why we need a strong membership. Now, I also want to say something, Bob. What tickles me, and I've heard him make statements, and you know what I'm saying. I know the way he is. He wants to imitate. He wants to be the highway patrol. He wants to be the. Somebody told me that he wanted to be the New York Police Department. That he wanted to look like the New York. That's what he was trying to fashion himself after. And that was a person kind of close to him. But yet all of those big departments like that, Highway Patrol, guess what they've got, Bob? Highway Patrol, they have got one of the strongest associations. If you look at the Highway Patrol, almost every member, if you want to go, one of the most impressive times I've ever seen, I used to be a national delegate for the Fraternal Order of Police for Oklahoma. And you would go, and I think it was Philadelphia. So in Philadelphia, they have their prison system and their police department is combined. So they're all in the Fraternal Order of Police. Had one of the largest chapters. I mean, they were huge. But you want to talk about professional and being encouraged to be in that because they had such a strong, and you know what? They didn't get ran over. They had a strong association. And our people will not join, and they're getting ran over, and all of this stuff is happening because guess what? You're not strengthening yourself. If we had a strong association, we can have more control. But Bob, I think today we got some ideas on how to share some of the ways that we might can take back some of that control. We have some legal recourses.
Well, we need to take legal action with the things that he's done and things he said. And I think some of it he even said it in his, if I'm not mistaken, in his broadcast, whatever you call it, when he's talking to the group. But it's really aggravating that you have your constitutional right to belong to an association. There's nothing in there. And he violates the law by one thing, he violates the law, but not giving me the membership list each month. It's a law. It's in statute. So he does that. So he just poo-poos the Constitution, whether it's a state, U.S., whatever. He just ignores it and just goes and does what he wants to do. And he's gotten away with it. But I think it's going to stop.
Well, we checked, and we can get that through OMS, and I'm gonna I already contacted OMES and I already said we want our list. Now, so our listeners know what we're talking about. When you join, you get a direct deposit out on the joining. What do they call that, Bob? You remember?
It's just that application they fill out.
Right, but they have a where it's a payroll deduction, you know. And
Yeah.
so, anyways, you get a payroll deduction, and we get a list of who everybody in here. Well, we can't reconcile anything. We can't see, are they honestly paying us for the number of members? We can't see how many members we've got because he's hijacked the member list. And so OMES, which is over all the states, also has that list and they are responsible. They can get it to us. Now, if they don't, we're going to have to sue them and get it. I don't think it'll come to that. I think if we had to, we end up getting a lawyer to write a letter and explain we're going to sue them, and I bet we get it. But here's what we want to do, Bob. We want to take things like PayPal or Apple Pay and all that, and we're going to start right after Christmas. We're going to start working trying to get this to where we put up links on our site here. So when we're doing this, we're going to put up links, either PayPal, Apple Pay. There's one starts with a V. I don't remember what it's called. But anyways, we're going to set up 3 or 4 different ways that you can join OCP. We can have the membership list where the Department of Corrections will not know who it is, where the Department of Corrections has no way of finding out. Now, one of the other things that I think is pretty cool, Bob, we get on this, guys, we've got a lot of viewers, man. We've got a lot of viewers on this program, lots of viewers. And so we got over 2,000 people who view this week.
Talk about that. You know, the majority of our membership are that watch us is women.
Right. So that's what I'm going to say, Bob. Speaking to those women who may not be employees, you may watch because you have a loved one in prison. You may watch because you have a loved one that works for the prison, but you can honestly donate money. So I'm a retired. I'm already, and I did it through PayPal. I had it fixed to where they just pull $5 every month from me, and so that's your retired dues. So I just did that, man. It works great. I never see it. I'm proud to be a member of, and so that's great. But you people watching this that are not employees, have a loved one, you mothers, you wives, the ones that got the kids in prison or a loved one in prison, you can donate. And I know that you know we're the only ones fighting for what's going on in those prisons and exposing what's going on in those prisons. And I'm going to tell you, if we don't get people step up, we're not dead yet, and we got a lot of life. And we got lots of things. We're going to talk about some of the things we can do. We got a lot of life left, but we can't continue to fight without the association. We can't fight for you if you're not willing to even join. And if we don't do something right now, HARP is going to be successful. One thing I don't want to have him successful terminating your association. So I'm asking y'all, join with us. We're going to get those webpage or the links out next, right after Christmas. We're going to do it after Christmas. And then we're going to encourage you. Y'all talk amongst yourself. I'm going to encourage you, man. I'd love to see 1,000 people sign up. That's what we need, 1,000 people to sign up. And then we're going to have the resources to go after them. And there's a lot of things we can go after them legally. And so
let's talk a little bit about the number of deaths that we've had. I think last Sunday there was 2, one at Lark and another one at what was the prison that second one's at?
Allen Gamble, I believe, Bob.
Yeah, Allen Gamble. It was Allen Gamble and Hart.
They're scheduled. I don't know if they schedule. They're like the execution deal. I guess they schedule a few every week. I don't know. They just like, man.
Well, we just keep having. What's our number at? Where are we at now in deaths in our prison? Approximately.
In September, we had 317. I checked in October, we had another 15, possibly 19. So if you add 15 to 17, that's going to be 30, 32, I think. So that's 332. And then if you just average, we've been averaging 15 a month. If you just average the last two at 15, that's another 30. So somewhere between 360, 364 by the end of the year is what I'm going to predict.
That's 2 years in 2 years, though. That's not 1 year.
2 years. So about 180 a year, 180, 181, something like that. That's a lot of deaths, Bob.
Hey, what's interesting though is they don't report them. They don't put it out to anybody.
Well, Bob, we've talked about how that they've stole. What I'm hearing, again, we don't get any information from them, but what I'm hearing is that they're telling. Now, I saw that they did have a few assaults, or I heard that they had a few assaults. But the thing about it is assaults on staff. But I've been told that they're telling staff when something happens, don't even report it. Just don't report it.
They don't with PREAs. Don't really report PREAs either. So the PREA's down. Well, you just don't report it. They're down.
Bob, I'm going to tell you that I believe the feds are looking into a lot of these problems, prisons and jails. They've gotten out of hand. They've gotten plumb crazy. And again, I think that if we ever do get this checked, people are going to be able to smart enough to walk in and see that a group disturbance, you may call it group disturbance. Are you proud of me, Bob? I got that one right on the first time. Group disturbance. You know what I'm saying? That's called a riot. And any other, look it up in the dictionary. It's called
like walkaways.
Walk away, same thing. They come up with another one the other day. What was that they had another one on staff that they were calling, that it wasn't assault on staff. It was a situation or something like that. I forget, but it's just unbelievable that they just changed names or just failure to report. But Bob, here's what I think. I think people are hearing us talk about these deaths, talk about how they're covering up murder, and we've talked about that kid they covered up and how they just intended to do a X write-up on him and leave it at that. Can you believe they're going to do an X write-up on a murder and not even report the murder? Now, you want to talk about sorry. That's sorry. So we brought all that out, and everybody's heard it. And they're like, JJ, that's all you do. That's all you do is talk. Well, guys, it's not all we're doing. So first of all, we're looking at a lawsuit. So I'm fixing to file a lawsuit. Hey, Director, get ready, because I'm going to file a lawsuit on you for Open Records Act. Now, Director, I want you to know I checked, and I'm pretty certain that carries a year in the county jail. That's probably what I'm going to be asking for. I'm not really worried about the funds. I'm worried about you ought to be locked up for what you do. And so the thing about it is they have written me in writing and told me I couldn't have records. They have told me that they have an agreement with our House leadership that I couldn't have records. That Harp and our leadership made an agreement that I couldn't get public records. That's a public records violation. I can't believe they're silly enough to write that, Bob. But I got multiple times they wrote that to me. They were silly enough to write it constantly. So the deal is they say they had a meeting, a private meeting to make this agreement, and that I no longer can have records, and I no longer.
Wasn't it at Biggs?
Well, no, that's another meeting that we're gonna keep under our hat that we know about. Yeah,
I'll let it out under our hat, but we know about it.
Yeah, but here's the deal on that meeting, Bob. I believe, and I have, Speaker, I don't just believe stuff. Okay, I try to document it. If I go to court, you'll know I get documented. But here's the deal. I believe that they made more of an agreement than just me not getting records. I believe they made an agreement to kill our correctional committee because they don't want to have to answer to all the problems that they're having. And I have ways to prove all that, and I have documentation to prove what I'm saying. And so again, he went out and showed, a lot of y'all viewers may remember this. He got out on his little video and said that I was a terrible employee. He said that I never promoted. I was in trouble all the time. Well, guess what? Those are private records. Your employment records are private records. They're not records that the director can go out and tell everybody and again, give your private business out on the street. But if you were going to do that, director, you should have at least told the truth. When you lied about it, again, that's a problem. And so, Bob, all of that is a huge problem. But what I'm sitting down right now and talking to lawyers about, I believe that I'm very active in OCP. I believe that I am a member of OCP and a face of OCP. And what I am talking to those lawyers about, can we sue him in behalf on all of this? Not just on me, but he has targeted me, and I believe he's targeted OCP because of me and because of mine and your relationship. And he pretty much said so. If I would leave you alone, so he was targeting you more or less at that time. But here's the deal. We're going to check, can we combine all that and prove all the stuff that we have to show that he intentionally has tried to harm me, and he has intentionally tried to harm you, and he's intentionally tried to harm OCP, and that he has violated the Open Records Act and possibly this membership list and some other things that we believe we can go straight after him. So that's going to be one lawsuit. Second thing that we're going to talk about doing, Bob, is he has fired so many people, it's unreal. He fires people like the doctor. He fires people, wardens and the all communications director and all of these people. And we have about 22 or 26 members that we're fighting for right now, and a couple that we've helped that aren't members. So probably 26 cases, Bob? Do you know how many were?
Somewhere between, I say 25 and 30.
Okay. And we've won those. So our listeners know, Bob, what percentage? Probably 98%.
JJ, we won the big one. We won was on the teachers. 2
Right.
years we won that.
But on wrongful firing, we won like 98% of the cases.
99.
And here's what Hart does. He hires outside counsel. Now, for everybody that thinks we're not doing nothing, it takes a while to get all these records and get everything kind of primed up. We're getting there. But one of the things that happened is he goes and hires outside counsel. Well, we asked for how much does that cost? So we did the attorney asked for how much does that cost? And he could not get an answer. And then I got in a big squabble with him, and I wrote a request, and they ended up answering us. That was $450 to $500 an hour, Bob. $450 to $500 an hour. So here's the deal. Has he gotten approval to do that? That's going to be our next check. Has he gotten approval to do that? And there's a way we can check that. And if he has, okay. But why would you get approval? And why would the AG approve it if the AG did approve it? I don't think the AG.
Why would you hire when you got 3 lawyers right there in your staff?
Well, Bob, here's what's funny. Everybody pay attention to Ryan Walters. Ryan Walters did the same thing. And guess what happened? AG come back and said, I never approved that and you can't have it, and ended up making them go with their own counsel. I think Todd Russ, is that what happened on Todd Russ's deal with the BlackRock and all that, Bob? I don't know. It's something like that. So here's the deal. If we look at precedent at what the AG's done, he's not approved any of those before. I'm going to be shocked that he approves this one. But guess what? I'm going to go back and find out. And if we find out, then there's going to be a day of reckoning coming along at all the money that he's paid out. And here's what's funny, Bob. when we started this program, we were talking about having to buy patches and having to buy suits. It appears like he's broke. It appears like he's broke. But he gives himself a $90,000 raise, and he ain't dropped that. He gets all these nice uniforms for himself and his staff. He ain't done that. But then he spends all of this money on lawyers. And we're going to talk that, we're involved in 26 to 30 cases. Okay. I know Daniel, what is that lawyer? I can't think his name. Gambini or something like that.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about, Bob? He's representing those 6 or 7 top management people. I think the doctor and a couple of wardens, and I don't know if Luke Pettigrew's in that group or not. I think he is. But we also got a case with Luke, or I guess he wasn't OCP, but we've been helping a little bit. He's paying for it, so when we say that, we can't pay it. But we oftentimes refer you or try to get you some help and do that kind of thing. And so, anyways, we've been involved in his case and watching.
Well, JJ, take everything aside. He's been a terrible director. The budget, he goes and flies all over the countryside and takes a group with him, and he stays in expensive hotels when we're having to have a officer buy his own patch.
Yeah, Bobby.
They have misused, abused the prison. He's abused it, where we don't have enough people to watch the gate, sit in the tower, be on the yard. We don't have the people to do it anymore. That's why we're having so many deaths and drugs getting into the prison. They don't have the people to take the business. He's ruined it. And I've talked to people just recently, and they said they thought they'd had it hurt enough, but it's even worse now than what it was, a year ago.
Well, Bob, like I say, I hadn't downed the governor a whole lot until here just recently, but the governor knew there's a reason he took him out of OMES. And you had swaddlings going on, and when you talk to people over there, it was a nightmare. He had wrecked the place. And just like, why would you charge 6%? So he's going to charge the state 6% on every. So we have this OMES created government to oversee government. By the way, ain't that funny? Republicans create more government, massive more government. But here's the deal: he wants to charge every agency 6%. When we're all paying, who's paying for it? People of Oklahoma's paying for it. But what does he charge at? So he can give his people more raises, so he can fly all over the country and act like a bigwig. He's great at spending other people's money and acting like he is something special. But I don't get where he's so high on himself, because everything he touches goes to crap. Almost slipped, Bob. Almost slipped right there. But it's crap. I mean, you name me what he's done. I didn't know who Harp was until he got to the state. You name me something he's done that you can hang your hat on and go, oh, there's a good deal. I don't know it if there is.
Well, we change lives.
Yeah, but Bob, that ain't for the better. We change lives. Yeah, if you weren't traumatized when you got here, we'll make sure you're traumatized by the time you leave. If you weren't raped, we'll try to help you out on that one too. If your family wasn't extorted, we'll see if we can't get some of their money, and maybe we'll supply the funeral home with a body or two,
Well, I don't think that, it's kind of like, you don't know where to start on the things that he has messed up with the Department of Corrections. And everybody in his little group of what they've done. And they don't, it's pretty clear they don't care about the employees. They don't give a rip about them. They don't care about the inmates. They just want some money.
Well, Bob, it's pretty fact that there's a way. I mean, we've got some other options. I mean, I'm going to look at trying to shut him down on these legal fees. I think we can do that. I'm going to personally sue him for all the stuff they have done to me. And I think I've got a really great case. I talked to a lawyer last week and he told me it's an awesome case. So, I mean, and he's a pretty good lawyer. By the way, it's the same lawyer that got those federal cases. So I don't know if I've announced on here. So if you think we're not doing anything, because we hear sometimes, what are y'all doing? What are you doing? So one, we've been setting up this lawsuit for him, violating Open Records Act, him going after us, OCP, after me and Bob. We've been setting that up for quite some while. And when I say set up, it ain't we're setting anybody up. We're collecting information. We're doing an investigation. We're gathering information to build a case. It's not a setup. He set himself up. We just collected the evidence of what he was doing. And so that's what we've been doing. We're getting pretty close. I'm going to say I hope to have that ready before session starts. Again, I have looked up. I've talked to a lawyer. I've got the form that they're supposed to get signed. I've got the state statute. And so we're going to be checking that for sure. But Bob, there's another way you can actually file where this guy is actually a harm to the state, and you can go file to the Supreme Court. You could actually file that on the governor and him to show, but you got to be able to show why that they are harming the state and that they are creating hardship and a endangerment to the state. And we are discussing doing things like that as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of options. People think we don't have options. People think we're not doing anything. Bob, we're doing a lot of things that people can't see yet. And I do want to tell you this, Bob, I believe if it wasn't for us watching him, you mentioned his travel a while ago.
Yeah.
Bob, do you know how his travel got out publicly? You remember when he come out with a memo, he wrote a media report that said, I didn't travel all this. And you know how the reason he responded to that media report?
How?
Because me and you were discussing it on here.
Oh, yeah.
Me and you had a discussion about him traveling all over, never being home. The whole deal's a disaster, and he's off running all over the place, partying and having a good time. Week later, he comes out. I've not traveled. I've only went on 9 trips in 8 months, and $5,000. And then we got back on here and laughed about that and go, well, Director, you omitted some. You forgot some. You must have just got a fuzzy memory or something. Well, guess what? I get called from Fox 23 or 25. I think it's 25. Hey, how do y'all know that? And I told them and got them all the information. Told them about ACA, told them that they're not belonging to ACA. Guess what? They do a big article on that and catch him deadbeat lying. And I bring this up because, guys, if you think we're not doing anything, just by getting on here and speaking, we're holding him accountable.
Well, yeah, I knew at the Capitol we're talking to senators and representatives, trying to say that we're crazy. We don't know what we're talking about, and he does a great job.
Well, Bob, and that's what he's done for a couple of years. He's went around there, and he's had the blessing of the governor. He carries the governor. He walks around like he's supported by all of these people, and he talks like this one. Nobody likes JJ, but I've got the backing of all these people. You go talk to those people. They don't care for him. They don't like him. And some may not like me. I'm hard to like sometimes. I understand that. I'm mouthy and I get in people's grills. Okay, that's fine. But I don't go around acting like I'm the best thing since peanut butter. And when people don't like you, Mr. Hart, people don't like you. Mr. Hart, people laugh. They laugh behind you. Everybody's laughing about that uniform. You think the whole Capitol is not laughing at you over that uniform, you would be wrong. And if you think people like you, they talk about you just like they talk about me, just like they talk about everybody else. But now I will tell you this, Bob, what you're hearing up at the Capitol right now is, hey, Humphrey may be right. Bob may be right. They're starting to see it now. And I'm going to tell you something, Director Hart, your castle is crumbling around you. And I can see it. I think you can see it. Yes, you've heard us. I mean, there's no question, Bob. Would you agree he's heard OCP?
Oh yeah.
No question. No question. He's hammered this. He's run off members. He's fired. I bet he's fired half the people. That's why we've got to recruit other people. He has fired probably a majority of and the ones that he ain't fired have quit. You know what I'm saying? He has run off. There ain't no telling how many employees. And Bob, here's what's funny. We got 80% retention rate. You know, it just blows my mind to hear him say we've kept employees when they're leaving like cockroaches. Yeah, I mean they're and so he's done away with positions, Bob. What he does by claiming that he has 80%, he just wipes out 400 positions. I estimate about 400 positions. Oh, look here, nope. I retain because those positions no longer exist. So it'd be like Walmart firing half their employees and claiming that they maintain, well, they just dropped those positions. Oh no, we're full staff. We get rid of half, but we're still full staff because we don't have those positions no more. I mean, it's just like walk away. It's just like all those other statements that we made, that he make up words. It's unbelievable how they do it, but they do that, and it is insane. I can't believe how they do it.
Well, I don't know what he's going to do next. I don't see how he could make it any worse, but I'm sure he'll find a way. But you're talking about there's shortage of staff. They don't have anybody to work in the control room. They don't have anybody when people go to the prison. They have nobody to check them in, check them out. You do it yourself. It's awful. It's criminal what he's done to these officers, as well as case managers, as well as the nurses. They all are in there. He keeps, and they letting people go, and we're still shorthanded.
Well, Bob, the things that he's done, I mean, what he's done employee-wise, how he's done the employees.
Well, he says, well, it's low everywhere. All the prisons in other states are having trouble. But you know what? I don't care if they're having trouble. I'm just scared about Oklahoma.
Well, that's his job. He's not Pennsylvania's or Texas. He's Oklahoma Department of Corrections. But here's the deal, Bob. Why that's such a huge, and people hear us hammering on that all the time. People hear us hammering on having to work 24 hours straight. You can't work 24 hours straight and be a good employee. And you're in a place where you better be on your A game. You know what I'm saying? Things are out of control. So you're down there working half-staffed, and the prisoners are running the show. You need to be aware of what's going on. If you have to work 24 straight, hey, it's not only illegal, it's not only wrong, but again, it's just, what does that do to our facilities? And this is a big deal. So if y'all want to hear why we hammer on this stuff, is because when you see that, and we've said this for the last 3 years, when you see a decrease in staff, when you see having staff work these hours constantly, they're wore down, guess what you're going to have? You're going to have more drugs coming into your system. You're going to have more games on the yard, illegal games. You're going to have more violence, inmate violence. And I've said you're going to have more inmate on staff violence. We're seeing that increase constantly all the time, increasing, going up. And when you get to that place, Bob, I say we got problems all over. I say we have lost control of the entire Department of Corrections. I say most of your prisons are being run by your prisoners. And I say you're seeing inmate on staff violence, and they're trying to lie and make that go away and not report it. People get stabbed in the jaw, don't report it. People get bodily fluids thrown on them, don't report it. All of those are assaults on officers. If they don't file an assault on an officer, you call me, shame on them. Any other law enforcement group that had their officer attacked, shame on them if they do not stand up and defend their officers. So very, very angry at that. It's very unbelievable that you would have that.
Well, it's certainly not improving a bit. I know they had an academy the other day that they talked about, but you're going to lose half of those guys as soon as they start working them.
And Bob, do you want those people to stay? Would you like to see those young officers stay and this become a great place for them to work and not have plenty of staff?
Right.
So people, listen, they try to make us out. You hear all the time how, they're nothing but negative. They don't have any solutions. Well, guess what? We got all kinds of solutions. I will guarantee you I've got a whole way to change the entire criminal justice system. They don't want to hear that. They do not want to hear it. And I will tell you this, they haven't had an original thought amongst, they cannot do anything that they don't steal an idea from somebody else. Because guess what? They don't know prisons. Harp's worked 0 in a prison. He has no clue what's going on there. He can't
be a good man in the math part and the budget, and he's not even good at that.
He is. I will say, man, he gets numbers. I presented that deal to him about how to change the whole criminal justice system. He was one of the very few people that he snapped on to the how it would work and how he could use that to lessen his to increase, decrease movage on beds and things like that. He actually caught it. So Stephen Harp is not a dummy. I'm gonna sit and tell you, he's not a dummy. He's a narcissist. He doesn't care about anybody. He doesn't care about the institutions while he goes around parties all over the place. That's pretty evident.
Taxpayer dollars.
Yes, he likes to see himself in a pretty uniform, and he likes to hear himself, praised. But as far as he's all glitter and no show, Bob. He's all glitter and no show. He has no foundational knowledge. They talk about him and his road dog hero, Kay Thompson, talks about institutional knowledge. Hey, you can stuff all their knowledge in a thimble and you still have a lot of room, So the thing about it is it just cracks me up that, they pretend like everything is honky-dory. Not even, Bob, they don't even pretend like everything's working. They pretend like they're some of the best. We've come up with a new, under Director Harp's leadership, we've come up with this or this. Golly, they ain't come up with nothing. They come up with 2 terrible slogans that they did away with the other motto that was awesome: protect the public, protect the employee. That's the motto they should be working towards, because that's what they ought to be doing: protecting the public, protecting the employee, and protecting.
Well, Harper gonna say that we don't like him. We just badmouth him and just all the time, and we do, because he does exactly what we say he did. We don't make anything up.
Bob, I didn't. You know what? Here's the deal, and I can honestly say this, and I'm gonna stand up and say it for you. We did not badmouth him when he first come in. We made attempts to work with him. He came and told you. And here's what's funny, Bob. I remember it was at an industrial meeting that was going on, and he walked up right before he took over and said, "Hey, I've watched what you and JJ's doing. I'm going to go up there and do what y'all are talking about, institute the things y'all's talking about. You can guarantee that's what we're going to do." What we were talking about, you got too much management. You need to cut your management. You need to increase your boots on the ground, get them raises, all the problems that we were talking about. Guess what? He's done right the opposite. He has not done anything that we suggested. He has done right the opposite. And then 5 minutes after he got in, he tells you, you're a union. We don't want you. I don't need you telling me what to do. Now, he's saying that about his people because you represent his employees. It's not you represent you. You represent the employee association. Now, he wants to pretend to be like the highway patrol who encourages, and every one of their members, every one of those highway patrols, I'll guarantee you, I bet you 98% and 99% of them belong to their association. But guess what? This guy, nope, you join that association, we'll fire you. You talk to JJ, we'll fire you. Because he's intimidated, Bob. He doesn't know enough to be able to carry on a conversation or to work. So guess what? Anybody who challenges him, anybody that comes up with an idea or would say that's not right, you know what he does with them?
Gets rid of them.
Gets rid of them. He gets them down the road. Anybody that would dare question the high-ranking general, colonel, whatever he is, guess what? You're gone. And that shows you, if you got a guy who can't listen and can't take ideals, guess what? Then you're stale. Then you don't have nothing. And
well, it gets down to this: we have had a ton of deaths in our prison system. That's not what we're supposed to be for, killing prisoners.
Raping, killing. And again, we can show the things that he come back. Oh, the AG had an investigation. Hey, Bob, I gave the AG.
That's a joke.
Here's the deal. I gave the AG and I gave Director Harp. You remember this because you're going to get to testify on this. I promise. I gave you in person, handed it to you, and I wanted to do that, and I made sure I did that because you try to insulate yourself where you're going to be. Well, I didn't know. I did. Guess what? You're going to have a hard time on this one. Now, that had I don't know how many witnesses in it. Bukus of witnesses on rape. I can give you two examples where we can corroborate and that we can prove that rapes occurred, not just on testimony, but other corroborating witnesses and documentation. Okay. And yet y'all let them resign and you said you investigated it, and yet you never went and talked to those people, not one of them. Now, guess what? That's not an investigation. So here's the deal. You've known of these situations and you've ignored it. Just like you've ignored your little pay raise and you go out and you say, oh, well, we've told JJ. You've never told me. The only thing you've ever told me is you transferred it from OMES, which is not legal. So what y'all explained, we've explained that to JJ. Yeah, you explained how you broke the law. I'm asking, did you do it legally? You're going to get the answer to all those. I promise you, do not think that this is even close to over. The thing about it is I collect, and then we go. And again, sometimes it may take a year or two to get it all collected and worked out. But Bob, I think we're pretty close. I think we're more and more stuff, whether you talk about rape, when you talk about these showers that now have been accepted into the federal court system.
Yeah.
Guess what? Those are human rights violations. I'm going to tell you, when they start hauling all these officers in that were on that staff meeting that night, when they start hauling all those that were on that staff, did you see this? Did you see that? And you start let me tell y'all a little secret. I've been in law enforcement 35 years. I work very hard not to have to go to the federal court system because you know what? That judge up there don't play. You don't get smart. You don't get that. You will. And you get caught lying up there. Hey, the department has just become lying on forms. It's just a practice. Guys, quit doing that. That's a form. That form, when you sign that, is a certified state document that you're telling what happened. When you sign that and say this is what happened, that's a state document. You get caught lying on that, guess what? You got problems. They're going to see that in McAllister here pretty quick.
Hey, speaking of McAllister, I heard they're going to open up some more pods there. When they're understaffed now, so what are they going to do? Have you heard anything about that?
I'm wondering. I had a news media call me the other day, and they were asking me about what I thought about Stitt's plan to work with the Department of Corrections and to create a unit for all of these illegals to be deported. And, Bob, I'm all for that. I want to tell everybody, I think if we have illegals in prison, absolutely, that's where you start to deport them. But I asked the media, I said, hey, the prison system right now is a disaster. We don't have enough people to do the work. We don't have enough people to do what we got doing. How are you going to create this other unit? Where's the employees going to come from? How are we going to do it? And under this guy's direction, he's a disaster. So how's he going to pull it off? Because he knows absolutely nothing. But even more, here's what's humorous to me, Bob. If people would go back and look, I called this out several months ago. You'll remember Stitt started a deal. He wanted to put together a task force how to bring illegals to Oklahoma and give them the American dream, help them get in college, help them get a job, give them driver's license, create another government agency, less government, you remember, Republican. No, we want to create another government agency. You know what for, Bob? To help illegals come to Oklahoma and transition.
Give them a driver's license.
Give them everything. Hey, here's the deal. My kid can't even say American dream. Go be a kid right now and look at a $300,000 house at 12% interest. Insane. You know what? Go to college and see what it costs you if you ain't got some scholarship or something. But here's the deal. He wants to give all that to illegal. But now Donald Trump wins, and guess what? Oh, mercy, we're going to deport everybody because Donald Trump's got in. Now we're not going to invite them to the state. Now we're going to deport all of them. It's almost laughable. I just get tickled. What do they think? None of us have a memory of past 1 week or something. I don't know. It's just like, wow, you got to be joking me. But yes, I believe, I don't know what the pods are for. They're talking about at OSP, I think, what I hear through the grapevine, setting up 2 pods. I'm guessing that may be what they're for. But wow, Bob, I mean, it's like, what else can you demand on the employees without giving them, any more? And again, Bob, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to make a little prophecy. I'm going to make a prediction.
All right, let's hear it.
And here's the deal. You guys need to join OCP because this is going to happen. I'm going to prophesy, and I'm a good prophet, okay? What you're going to see is your overtime get cut. And what you're going to see is the patches, and you're going to see the uniforms, and you're going to see your salary go down. And you want me to tell you what, Bob? Me and you've been doing this OCP deal and kind of overcorrections. When is the maddest you've seen people? I've seen people 3 times really, really mad. What do you think that is?
What is it?
Money. When we got that raise, you remember the first raise we got? All the officers.
$2 raise.
$2 raise. Guess what? There was a lot of people mad because they were left out of that. Mad. My office
screwed it up.
And then they screwed it up because we had it fixed. They screwed it up. And we got that fixed again, and people were mad again. And then we got that big raise, that really, really big raise that everybody got, but some people didn't get as much as others. They were mad. But you remember how they had that, what is it called? It ain't days work because that's a chew, I think, and I used to chew. Work day, is it called work day?
Yeah.
And you remember how people weren't getting their check?
Right.
It was all screwed up. Have you ever seen people matter? I've never seen anybody matter.
Well, I hear they still got it screwed up.
Oh, it's a mess. It's a mess. And guess who's responsible for that? In case y'all forgot, right before he left OMES, you know who did that one? That's your director also. I guarantee you. Bob.
Well, we'll have to take you one more statements from you. Talk about anything you want to talk about, but we got to get going.
Well, I'm just amazed at how he has screwed up everything, but more amazed that people aren't standing up to him. And what I want to do, I want to encourage y'all. Listen, this is not me getting on to you. I love the Department of Corrections. I give 20 years to the Department of Corrections. I have sacrificed. I will promise you, while I've been at the Capitol, I have fought for you. I just lost my chairmanship fighting for you, and I'm happy to do it. And I'm going to keep on fighting and keep on fighting. I'm not backing down from our leadership at the House. I'm not backing down from your director, and I'm not backing down from the governor. I'm going to fight for you. You ain't going to have to wonder that. You ain't going to have to wonder, did I quit? But how about you get in a fight? You join us. You can do it anonymously, but I'm asking for your help. I'm asking, I want to represent you, and I want to fight for you, but get in the fight with us. We're going to get these links. If you're on board and you got a family in that prison, if you can help out, start paying $5, $10, whatever it is. Help us out. If you want to be interested in what I'm doing, go to JJ4OK, JJ4OK.com, JJ4OK.com. Clue into what I'm doing. We got a whole page there dedicated to what we're fixing to go after. We're fixing to put all of this out on social. This channel, what we're doing here, Elephant in the Room. We're starting 2 or 3 other things like that so that we can out these people. And we're talking to lawyers. We're fixing to take it to not only them, but to the House of Representatives, to legislators, whole 9 yards. So if you think we're done, don't count us out, but we want your help. We want you to join us, and we want you to get in a fight.
Well, I appreciate that, JJ. And we're looking forward to, I guess we'll do the Elephant in the Room Sunday.
Yeah, Bob, we're going to talk about me losing my chairmanship and about how they reset everything up there and about what that means, how they're going to try to imitate Donald Trump. And what's funny, they're already doing right the opposite. So we're going to talk about that.
Well, good. Okay. Well, we'll see you later, JJ. I appreciate your help and everything that you do. And hopefully some things will start getting better.
I appreciate you. Y'all have a blessed day.